Hey, welcome back to another episode of Open Shutter, wherever you guys are watching, listening, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. Thanks for listening, watching. Have the pleasure of welcoming Rob Jemmett to the program. So thanks, Rob, for coming on and doing this thing.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me, Paul.
Man.
Honored to be here. Thanks.
Honored is a very flattering word. Let's see how this hour goes, I guess. If you guys are following Rob, if you guys aren't following Rob, his Instagram link is in the description of this video. And if you are following, then you probably have seen that he is the international man of mystery. So I'm very curious why that is. Why are you Austin Powers, man?
That was just more a catchphrase, but yeah, I thought, not that mysterious. Maybe I am mysterious.
Maybe. But no, man, thanks again for jumping on. Maybe just, for the people that don't know who you are, maybe just a quick intro about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So Rob Jemmett, born and raised in Toronto, which I think is actually kind of unusual nowadays to be actually born in Toronto and still live there.
Right.
My background was IT, worked for a company for 33 years in technology, and retired in 2019, just before the pandemic, and then picked up the hobby of photography late 2016, 2017, trying to figure out something to do to replace golf, which was my passion.
Man, from one expensive hobby to like the other, right?
Yeah. My wife said, photography is really expensive. I said, you actually don't know how much golf was costing.
Golf isn't that much cheaper. No, but we were just chatting offline about it's so recent how you picked it up. It's not that long ago, right? So
I mean, basically 2017 I had a new camera. My wife bought me this camera for our 30th wedding anniversary. And how little I knew about cameras. She only bought me the body, and as I look through the viewfinder, I don't see anything because it didn't have a lens, and I didn't know that you needed a lens. So the next
minor details.
Minor details. Now I understand, but then I didn't even understand that. So I have to thank my wife for getting me into photography.
So what was the first lens that you bought then?
So I had a Nikon D3300, and then it was it wasn't the kit lens because it didn't come as a kit, but it was probably a telephoto to one from maybe 25 to 160, something like that. That lasted me almost a year before I upgraded to Nikon D750, and then I figured out, this is actually something I'd be interested in. So then got into a bigger Nikon gear.
So I guess there was a reason for the upgrade, eh?
Yeah, I wanted to understand what full frame was. I had heard a lot about full frame, and my camera at the time was a crop sensor, and thought, maybe full frame would be better. So, and I was still working at the time. So I bought the D750, bought a couple of beautiful lenses, 70 to 200 f2.8, beautiful lens. And then in 2018, I have two hiking buddies.
Nice.
We went to Zion National Park, and I said, I need something smaller. This thing I'm not going to be hiking with all through the park.
You mean like the weight of the
gear. Weight, yeah. And so I went to Henry's, talked to the guy, and I said, I want a small camera for hiking, and so I got into Fujifilm. At the time, Fujifilm mirrorless was kind of new, and so it was basically Fujifilm or Sony, and so I decided on Fujifilm.
Nice.
And then made some investments in lenses, and so now I'm a Fujifilm guy.
You're a Fuji guy.
I'm a Fuji guy. Yeah.
Through and through, right?
I have too many lenses invested to switch over.
So what do you love? What do you love about Fuji? What's the thing?
They have great lenses. Their film simulations are good, and the cameras. You know what? I know the systems inside out now, so I know where all the settings are. And, yeah, I just love them. I think they've, you know, at the time when I bought it, they were number 3 in the market, and so they've lost some market share. But still, I love it. So
shout out to Fuji.
yeah.
Shout out to Fuji. Love it. Hey, if Fuji's watching, feel free to send Rob any free stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Although I have a lot of it, but absolutely.
I'll take it. It doesn't matter. We'll take it.
Yeah.
So what was like when you started to learn photography? Like, what was like the biggest thing that you had to like what was the hardest thing you had to learn, like in terms of like just trying to get a handle on stuff?
Yeah. I think that exposure triangle took a little while to figure out.
Still scares me.
Still a little bit hard, sometimes hard to figure out.
Yeah.
I remember I took a course at Henry's. They were offering courses at the time, and it was two different courses. The first one talked about shutter speed and aperture and what they were,
right,
and didn't touch on ISO at all. And so everything I was shooting was in auto ISO, because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what it did.
Yeah.
And so I really didn't have to worry about any exposure triangle at that point. But then I went back for the second course, and where they explained how you go into full manual mode. And I remember I would take night shots. So the city, Toronto, was beautiful at night, right? The skyline.
Yeah.
And took a shot in auto ISO. And the guy that was teaching the class said, "Oh, can we talk about this picture that Rob took? Because here's a mistake that he made."
Oh, really? Nice.
So it was so grainy, and I didn't know why it was so grainy. So
he explained the ISO to you then.
Yeah. So I learned a lot about that, and then so that was that brought me through 2018. I think that was more kind of introduction, how to get into manual mode when you want to.
Yeah. What do you what do you like to do? Like what mode do you like usually? When you're
I would say most of the time I am in manual mode, but it really depends on what I'm shooting. So birds, I will go to on ISO. So telephoto, I bought a telephoto lens in I guess in 2021. I bought a 100 to 400 lens.
Yeah.
Came home, there was a bird in the backyard, little mourning dove sitting on a perch. Held the lens up, took a picture, and said, "Oh my God, that's fantastic."
Yeah.
And so then I got into a lot of wildlife, birds, and I still occasionally will make the mistake, maybe less now, but I would again look at the exposure and adjust. A lot of times, adjust the shutter speed. I wanted to keep the ISO low and adjust the shutter speed, and I would introduce camera shake a lot of times, because I might go down to 1/60th of a second, or and with at 400 millimeters, you can't do that. So I've learned now I'll just I'll leave it at 1/2000th or 1/4000th of a second, and let the ISO just go into auto ISO. And there's so much good software now that can reduce all the glaring noise. So but you know, there's times where I was in this is my studio here, my garage studio, and I was shooting water droplets, and so I'll put it into aperture priority and let it figure out the shutter speed, because I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just, you know, the water droplets aren't moving anywhere, and so it really depends on what I'm doing. But there you go. So that probably was in aperture priority, so low ISO, but let the camera figure out the shutter speed for me.
I think we just got pointed out that it took you three hours to set it up. 3 hours.
Yeah, 3
hours.
Yeah, because so you think, okay, you know, so actually I got this inspiration from Don Camarucha, who's a fantastic macro photographer.
Yeah,
and I bought his book, and a similar picture is in there. So I thought, oh, let me try that. So that little stem, the green stem going across there, you think, oh, just get a piece of grass or stem off a plant. But what I didn't appreciate is that when you try to make that little arch there, they'll bend, they'll snap, they won't be in a perfect way. So I went through about 4 different plants trying to figure out the right stem. And then even when you find the right one that would, go into the right position that I wanted, they wouldn't all hold a water droplet. Sometimes the water would just roll off.
Oh man.
And so, yeah, I spent a good 3 hours just setting it up, even before I brought my camera in, because I could see what was going to happen. And so that whole process, I love that whole process of just playing.
What is it like? What is it about the process itself that you like?
Yeah, I think it's kind of meditative a little bit. I'm not thinking about anything else while I'm looking at this stem, trying to put water droplets on a little stem. There's no thoughts of anything else that's going on in my head. So I think at least for myself, even if you're out in nature, you're usually focused on one thing. And so it's kind of meditative.
Yeah, I totally see that because you're so focused, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're so concentrated on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
And it's fun. I mean, at the end, hopefully I get a nice picture. If I don't, then I had a bit of fun, and I was able to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, which is always good, right?
Yeah.
It's always good. Yeah, we're just talking offline about like how you like doing different things, right? Which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of I hear a lot of recommendations that you should specialize. Maybe, I guess, if you're trying to sell your art, or you're trying to become a photographer that people want to call on to do this specific niche thing, you're an expert at that. But I kind of went the opposite way. I want to try everything. And so far I haven't found anything that I don't like, any genres that I don't like. I kind of do everything. And that's how, when you look at my Instagram, that's what you see, all this stuff. You go, what does he do? Because I do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if someone asked you, like, what's your style? Would you just say everything?
Pretty much. Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. I do like that little moth there. I do insect and these kind of things is like, so that's focus stacking. So the new Fujifilm X-T5 that I bought has a built-in focus bracketing. Yeah. Before that, I had a rail, so you would have to slide the rail back and forth to get the different pieces in focus. But now with this one, it's fantastic. So found this little guy in a park and did, I don't know how many pictures that was, probably 50 pictures. F2.8. So I have a macro, the 80 millimeter macro f2.8. So that's why the background is so nice and soft.
Right.
So I can focus stack them together.
Cool.
I mean, it doesn't always work. Sometimes, these little guys, they move, they're breathing.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're of course. Yeah. Like, how do you like? Are you always like looking out for like insects to shoot? Like, how are you kind of like approaching like this kind of shot?
Yeah, usually I have an idea what I want to do when I leave the house. So this particular day, this was at Wilkett Creek near Toronto Botanical Gardens.
Okay.
And I've been there before. It's kind of sheltered from the wind. It's down in a little valley, and there's a creek running through there. And so it's good because the wind is blocked, and any movement photographing these things is going to throw it off. So, so I have that idea when I leave the house. What am I going to shoot? Am I going to shoot birds today? I bring my telephoto, or am I going to do some macro, whether it's insects or maybe try to look for some flowers, that type of thing. But kind of, I have usually a general idea of what I'm kind of on the hunt for. And looking for insects, for example, like you can literally stand in one space and just look around your feet, and you can probably find some kind of something that could be interesting to.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's kind of just like paying attention to like what's around you.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, and you're not walking fast. You're just slowly strolling and looking at the leaves, seeing if there's an insect or a spider or something on these leaves. Yeah.
That's good. Like, again, very like meditative too, right? Where it's kind of also very focused. You're very focused on what's around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The same type of thing. I mean, it's part of the process, I think. Going out and hunting for a subject, as opposed to something like a water droplet where I create the
different. Yeah, it's a different approach.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you like more? Do you like the staged approach more, or you like kind of like the hunting approach?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I think both of them have some merits.
Yeah,
The stage thing, I try to give people some insight when I post it on Instagram about what I'm doing and maybe how it is. And sometimes I might have a behind the scenes shot there.
of course.
But going out and finding something in nature that you didn't know was there is so much fun too, because
Yeah,
you don't know what you really don't know what you can do, what you can
yeah.
find, and what you can photograph out there.
Mm.
So they both have, for me, they both. I really like them both equally, kind of.
Yeah, there's always kind of like a shot to be had. No matter
Exactly,
where you are, no matter where you are, there's always, you could be anywhere, but you can always, there's always some sort of shot. You just need to like look for it,
exactly.
you
I mean,
know?
sometimes I'm not always happy with the shot that I would have got. So
Right.
um, there was a time where I was doing waterfalls. I was doing a lot of waterfalls, so I would go out to Hamilton quite a bit,
Yeah.
and there was a point where I was doing a vlog, so I would
Nice.
go out on a hike, usually to the base of the waterfalls, take some pictures, come back, upload my video, and then put it on YouTube and say where I
Nice.
was and include some pictures. And one day I came home and I didn't have a good picture, and I was kind of angry.
Were you?
Why am I angry? Because I didn't get a good picture. What are you doing?
Oh my God.
And so I realized I think I was inducing some stress and trying to put the vlog together and upload it to
Yeah.
edit it and upload it to YouTube and
Yeah.
get the picture edited, and so I decided I'm going to knock off the YouTube vlogging, because I think it was just, I would try. I'm one of those people that when I do it, I want to share it like right away.
Of course.
So I was so frustrated that I didn't have something good to share, and then I realized, what are you doing? Just slow down.
Yeah.
Just sometimes I had an analogy. You go fishing. Sometimes you don't catch a fish.
Yeah. That's life,
Just
though.
be
That's
angry, right?
life. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's life. You don't always come away with something,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? So is your YouTube channel still like active?
Yeah. It's still there. I don't do a
Okay.
lot of things. I started last year. I started doing a couple more
Nice.
videos. It's my name, so you'll find
Okay.
it. Just search my name as well.
Cool, man.
I put together a couple of videos, mostly for, I belong to the Toronto Camera Club, and they
Yeah.
had they have an audiovisual competition,
Yeah.
and so last year I decided to enter into it and
Cool.
put together a couple of videos. So I kind of got back into that, but that's not a rush. That's it's not like vlogging where I felt like I had to have it done by a certain day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'll see those videos on there. You'll see some of my older vlogs. They were all from I had a Instagram, or I still have an Instagram called Hunting for Waterfalls.
Yeah.
And then my YouTube would have the vlogs from the places of the waterfalls that I would go, usually around Hamilton. Hamilton's called the city of waterfalls.
It is. It's like,
Yeah.
isn't it like the waterfall capital of like the world or something?
Yeah, they have like
Something crazy like
128 waterfalls or something like
the
that.
most random stat you'll ever hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I did not know that. When I first heard that, really? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure out why, because I have a friend who's a pilot, and his daughter was taking flying lessons. So I had a chance to go up in a small airplane, I'm only like 6,000 feet. And from there, I could see the Niagara Escarpment.
Yeah.
And what I didn't appreciate was the Niagara Escarpment is basically flat from Lake Erie coming over until you hit the Niagara Escarpment. And then it drops down.
Mm.
And so that's why all these waterfalls are along there, is because the water from Lake Erie is coming over and down that escarpment.
Interesting.
So now I understand that. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, Hunting for Waterfalls, and then that ran for quite a while, and then actually before that I had a View from the Bench. That was my first Instagram, View from the Bench, because
Still active?
It's still active. Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to find it. I found it.
Yeah. I started that one because how I got into photography was, my wife bought me the camera because I had injured my back. I was playing hockey. Yeah, that's it. And so, well, I was a golfer, and then everything I did was to get better for golf. So in the winter, I played hockey.
Yeah.
And injured my back playing hockey, herniated a disc, and then had some very successful back surgery. But had to give up hockey and had to give up golf.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
That sucked big
That
time.
sucks. Yeah.
But so my kind of my spin on this view from the bench was that I couldn't be on the hockey bench anymore.
But you're still on the bench.
If you could sit on the bench, this is the view that you would see. So there.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah. So that was my first one. Then I got into the waterfalls.
Well, that's cool, man. Like what a journey, right? From like there to there to there. Like,
yeah,
it's cool how it all snowballed.
And it hasn't been that long, so
that's what I mean.
I'm not bored. I'm pretty busy. So
yeah, like what's the next kind of thing,
Yeah, I just do that one day at a time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I had drone for a while. I crashed 2 of them.
Did you?
I keep thinking about getting back into drones.
What kind of drone did you have?
So I had a GoPro, and then they had a drone at the time. I don't think they have it anymore, but the GoPro camera snapped into their drone. And so I didn't have to buy the camera. I had the camera already. But then, I learned some things. Smashed into a tree, and because I was going backwards and smashed into a lake.
Man.
So yeah, I've been reluctant to get it back into drones, but it's something that I think about. But what's caught I'd say in the last 2 years, caught my interest more is infrared photography.
Yeah, we talk about offline. Yeah, infrared.
Yeah. So
why infrared?
I think I saw a YouTube video from one of the 100 people that I follow, and they had taken a camera out one day, and they were doing a picture in infrared, and it was just mind-blowing to me how you would create this white off leaves. It would all be white, and so I looked into it a little bit, and I had the original camera that I had, Fuji camera that I had, which was a little XE3 for hiking.
Yeah.
Which I was going to sell. Because I thought, I don't use it anymore. So I was going to sell it, and instead of selling it, so I was maybe going to get $300 for it. Right. Instead of selling it, I sent it away to get converted to infrared. So here's some camera math, boy math and girl math. The camera math is, I was going to get $300 for this camera, and instead I spent $400 on it. So
nice.
To get it to make it infrared.
That's some good math, eh?
Yeah, it's good math.
Yeah.
And so once I saw what it can do, it's just so interesting. That not just the camera itself, but all the post processing you can do with it.
Right.
It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a totally different kind of photo. You don't see a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's very unique. And that's actually what I'm looking for. I'm looking for uniqueness. Because I had read a stat or heard it that some over 3 billion with a B pictures are uploaded to the internet every day worldwide.
Billion?
So if with those kind of stats, like somebody's taken a picture that you've already taken. If you're at a waterfall or you're at a landscape or a sunset, there's probably a lot of people that already have the similar picture. And I wanted to make pictures that were different. And so that's one of the things that I love about the infrared is that we can both be standing there side by side, capturing the same things, but my picture is going to look so much different because it'll be in infrared, whether it's black and white or whether I can make some false colors in it. It's going to be unique. So that's what I love.
Yeah. Well, you raise a good point. It's hard to take a really unique photo, I guess, because I guess everything's been done, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what that like everything's kind of been shot? Like we were just talking about this the other day about like I guess that's the challenge of photography. It's like taking something but doing it differently somehow.
Exactly.
Sort of like the challenge of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had read, there was a book I read years ago, and it talked about, I don't know whether this is true or not, but at least this author said that humans are no longer capable of coming up with a unique idea. Everything
Yeah.
is based off something else. So you adapt things and you change it. You know, I think I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
You don't just come up. Whatever idea you have came from a connection
Something
to something
else.
else.
Yeah. Yeah, like you saw something or you read something that kind of like
Yeah,
triggered an idea, but that
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
really a unique idea, I guess, because that came from something else.
Yeah, yeah. Like even my laser pointer there.
Right.
Um, it spawned from a YouTube video about physics and pendulums. Right? It wasn't
Yeah.
didn't just. I mean, I think I created the photograph, but it wasn't a unique idea that I had.
Mm. Yeah, I guess there's a difference between like the idea and like the actual art itself.
Right.
Because the art could be unique, but the idea isn't unique.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way. I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, you got to think about like how long us humans have been around creating stuff. Where I guess maybe there are no more ideas out there. That's why there's so many Bad Boys movies out there now. All of a sudden,
Exactly.
like what? We need another one? Like what's going on? Another Marvel movie?
Exactly.
Okay,
And yeah,
no ideas anymore.
you're spot on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of get behind that.
Yeah.
Um, what's
Yeah.
like what's
So
Yep, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say. So what happened when I retired is I went to George Brown and took a digital photography program out of George Brown. And I would say for the most part, I didn't learn a lot in the
No?
first, I would say, first 6 courses that I took, because I had been doing it. I took the course at Henry's. Kind of, I understand, the camera and how it works and the technical details behind it. But the last 3-4 classes there, I learned about light, and
Mm,
and that changed everything for me. Learning about light and whether it's strobes and speed lights, but just how light works, what quality light means, how soft light is or hard,
okay.
and that really opened the door for me um,
Mm,
to be able to play with light more. I had another quote I had heard is that professionals worry about money, amateurs worry about gear, and
yeah.
masters worry about light. And I'm not saying that I'm a master, but I understand now the concept that light is so important. Good quality light is so important to having a good picture.
Amateurs worry about gear,
Amateurs worry
masters.
about gear, and so that's where I was for the first few years. I mean, not so
Yeah.
much now, but professionals worried about money, right? Because that's their business; they want to make money.
Right.
And masters worry about light.
Oh, I'm just trying to find the quote now.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know who
trying.
said it. I just remember it, and it really stuck with me.
Vernon Trent? Does
It
that
could be,
sound familiar?
could be.
The real quote. I don't know. This isn't fact check, but I'll put it up there. I like that quote though. Never even heard of
Yeah,
that before.
yeah, I like it. I mean, that's a reason why, if you're going to do
Just make pictures.
landscape photographies, you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning so you can catch the blue hour, golden hour,
Yeah.
get that different quality of light. Although the one good thing about shooting with an infrared camera is still the quality of light in it will help an infrared photograph, but you can still get very interesting pictures during midday with the sun
Sure.
bearing down.
Yeah, of
And
course.
yeah, and then so that's a good example of where I had my infrared camera, and I'm doing some studio work, and I thought, oh, let me try the infrared to see what happens.
Yeah.
And the infrared, especially in black and white, the
It's cool.
people's skin, it will not remove it. The infrared light isn't reflected off blemishes, so you won't see any
Ah,
blemishes.
ah,
The skin is kind of like so soft.
yeah, yeah. You can see it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not that probably I have had to add some texture into these.
Sure, just to make it a little bit more like real, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
because
Yeah,
it can be too soft. It'll look like
yeah.
it's just
A
all,
mannequin or something.
photoshopped, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's just the infrared light reflecting. And the
Interesting.
eyes the eyes go very dark usually.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. And in black and white, I just love how it comes out in black and white.
Yeah. And what was the model's r- r- response to the photos? Did she like them or?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, every model that I've shot with that I've shown really like them.
that's
They're
great.
seeing some. I think there's only been a couple of the models that actually knew or had heard of infrared photography.
Yeah.
So when I showed them, they were really surprised. Because this picture, for example, if I showed you what she looked like with a regular camera, you would
Hmm.
think they're two different people almost. Because the skin, that not that she had blemishes, but there's different features of their skin that doesn't come through with the infrared,
Yeah.
um, and so it's almost like it's not the same person. Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
It's
but
good.
yeah,
It's
it's
a good
very
little hack.
positive response from
That's
everybody
good.
that shot. Yeah,
Yeah. We
and
you
that I
like
think is also unique. I think kind of.
100% it's unique. Yeah. Saves a lot of time in Photoshop too, right? Trying to fix all the blemishes and stuff.
It does. Yeah, it doesn't eliminate it, but
Yeah.
it saves a lot of. Well, it depends. I mean, this model has really good skin, but if there's a lot of blemishes, it can save a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. And you like working with models in general?
yeah. That started out at George Brown
Mm.
course again. Taking a couple of courses in people photography with
Okay.
bringing models in, and yeah, I like. I mean, like I said, there's not a genre that I have not liked. So um,
You like them all, man. You
I
like them
do.
all.
Like I'm all over the place.
You even went to Mars.
I went.
You're
There's
even doing astro on the planet.
my two hiking buddies, Paul and Matt.
So
Um,
funny.
so that was that again infrared. But this one wasn't black and white. It was you can play around with false colors quite a
Oh
bit, and
man.
then it was Four Moons in Sedona.
Jeez. You two do not flag this video. This is art. This
Hope
is
not.
not this is
Thank you.
art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my goal is.
Yeah. Make some art,
That's,
right?
and hopefully, if you can make somebody laugh along the way.
Yeah. Make some art, have some fun,
Yeah,
make
exactly.
some memories. That's what it's all about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Interesting.
Good fun.
So so people that are starting out, do you like recommend like people attend a class like you did? You find it useful? You found it useful in like the long run?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, you can buy it. I mean, these cameras are very expensive. If you buy a camera, I mean, your phone is a camera, has a
Sure.
camera also.
Of course.
Um, but yeah, I think if somebody wants to get into photography, I would for sure recommend some kind of a course that talks about bait. I think mainly you'd want to understand what exposure means, how that works, and basic compositions.
Mm.
What makes a good composition. One of my goals when I went to George Brown, actually at the end of George Brown, I still wasn't sure what made a nice picture and what made a composition. and then I joined the Toronto Camera Club, and that's when I really learned. I learned so much from there. But composition, I think those two things for me as a beginner, those are the things that I would recommend for people if they were just getting into it.
Yeah.
Figure out what a nice composition is.
What do you think makes a good composition?
Huh.
Maybe pick an example from your grid, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these you're going to find if you open them up like the Raven, you open it up and it's going to be a thirds. So that eye is going to be on it's going to be a rule of thirds, which I use a lot.
Do you?
Not always, but I do use it a lot.
Do you? Yeah.
I try to the golden ratio is a very difficult thing for me to figure out how to get there into. So kind of the rule of thirds. I mean, it's basic, but it tends to give you a good composition. It's not centered, something that's off the center a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of times, in this case for this Raven, ideally I should have had more room after his beak. So kind of he's looking out and he should have had a little bit more room, but it's Instagram. So
did you crop in?
No, this was an amazing experience. This guy came up to me. I was in Algonquin Park, and he was coming up so close to me. I had my 100 to 400 lens, and I could not focus. He just kept walking right up to me. So you can see his beak is out of focus, and that's because he was coming. He came within 3 feet.
What a bugger!
It was fun. It was so much fun. I was down on the ground, and he was far away, but then he just kept walking right towards me.
He wanted the photo.
He did, exactly. I mean, probably in his eye, you can see me. I think you can see me in the.
You see a little figure there in the eye there. Is that you? I guess,
lying down on the ground.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wildlife, eh?
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You ever wait like hours for like a shot for like wildlife? You camping out overnight, just get one shot?
I do. Well, the wildlife's hard because you don't know what's going to be there. I have done. So I started getting into alignments with the sun or the moon, usually often with the CN Tower, but it didn't have to be the CN Tower. And so I started that. Geez, I don't know when I started that. Maybe 2019. It was before it was a thing. At least before it was a thing. And I think I was at Humber Bay Park East, and I just happened to catch. So alignments like this where the sun or the moon are aligned with typically a CN Tower or some kind of interesting landscape building. And so I just happened to be out there one morning, and the sun came across the CN Tower, and it was just total fluke that I was there. Then I started researching. Hey, I didn't realize that this could happen. And of course, it just depends where you are. Yeah. So I got into a program called the Photographer's Ephemeris, TPE.
Okay.
And then later I got into Photo Pills.
Right.
Photo Pills has so much more information. But the TPE and the Photo Pills app, trying to figure out where you could be for an alignment, just open up a new world. It's Toronto so special with the lake there. You have, the skyline is very accessible if you get along the lakeshore.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about buildings or trees being in front of you.
Right.
And you just have to wait for the right day or figure out the right day or time to do that. And so one of my special ones was there's an annular solar eclipse in June of 2021. And so I had used Photo Pills. It was really the first time I had done a lot of research, because I had seen, okay, it's going to be an annular solar eclipse. So it's not going to be a full eclipse.
Okay.
It's gonna be a crescent shape sun. The moon will be partially covering it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get the crescent touching the top of the CN Tower, just the very tip of the CN Tower. And so I researched photo pills. I learned how to figure out the height of where the sun would be at a certain time. Um, I 2 weeks before the eclipse, I went to the location that I thought it would be. Yeah, that's the one. Which
Uh,
was at
that's not real, is it?
no, that's real. um, so it was at Colonel Samuel Smith Park in the West
Right.
End,
Right.
and PhotoPills has a cool feature, augmented reality. So I went to the location, which I thought was going to be on a beach, turn on the augmented reality, and realized I'm way off
Were you?
from where I thought I was going to be.
Oh no.
So that's okay because I'm 2 weeks early. So I went to, I figured out the right angle, went to another location, did the augmented reality, and now I know where I have to be. And I even had kind of spotted this rock that I needed to stand on. It was underneath the tree. But this is great. I'm going to show up there an hour before sunrise, so I should be good. Well,
Mhm.
I thought I was the only one doing this. I really thought I was the only,
Really?
because I didn't know anybody else that was doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got to the parking lot and there was already 30 cars there.
No way.
And I thought, oh my God,
30
I hope
cars.
nobody has taken my rock.
Don't take Rob's
Don't take
rock.
my rock. And I was so pumped when I got there, and nobody was even near me. So they were not
Yeah.
looking for this shot. They were looking for
Oh.
probably maybe whether it was going to be down lower or at another building or whatever shot they were looking for.
Hmm.
But nobody, the cool thing about this is there's nowhere else in the world at this time that shot is possible except from where I was standing.
So you had the best spot.
For the shot that I wanted. Yeah. And this is
Yeah.
the shot. So 2 weeks before, or actually a month before this, I actually drew this picture. I'm a horrible artist. That's
You
why
drew it?
I drew it. I
Oh.
drew the CN Tower, and I knew that the tip, there would be a crescent. It could be at the tip of the CN Tower.
Yeah.
The trick is finding the right location to get that from. It's all about the angle where you are. And so luckily I was able to find the rock.
So this is all kind of like manifested in a way. You
Yeah,
drew it and
almost.
you
I mean,
manifested. You got the rock. No one took your spot.
I don't know if I was happier with the picture or that all my planning process actually worked.
Yeah.
I was just so happy that, wow, I actually, did all this research, planned it out, and it actually became real.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also shows the importance of like scouting before, not the day of.
Oh,
Because you
absolutely.
don't want to be scrambling around like that.
Absolutely. And especially if there's
Yeah.
another 30, 40, 50 photographers
Yeah.
that already have this idea. I thought I was a special snowflake, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So a lot of really smart people are out there trying to
Sure.
get unique pictures as
See?
well. So.
Yeah, you really got to know what you're doing like the day of. You just can't rock up and say, "Okay, I'm gonna get this shot now." Meanwhile,
I mean,
you're
you
in the
can
wrong spot.
be lucky, but
Yeah, it's more stressful though,
not very often. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
and you're kind of like less in the moment because you're trying to like figure out like where am I gonna go?
Right. Exactly.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that worked out for you, man. Because
Yeah.
it's
Thanks.
nice when that all works out for you. And did you shoot the eclipse this year?
So I was in Niagara Falls. No, I was in Niagara on the Lake, not Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And so I was there for the eclipse.
Mm.
I have a beautiful picture of clouds covering the sun. I was there when it got very dark, which was super cool. But the probably 10 minutes after the total eclipse, we got a glimpse of it, but there was nothing photographically worthy to share.
Were you planning to shoot it though? Like
I was, yeah. Oh, I was
seriously,
all set up.
hardcore?
Yeah, I was all set up. I had
You should have joined Eddie's. You should have joined Eddie's meetup when they went to.
I know. Well, I had other friends. I joined other friends in Niagara on the Lake, so had the choice. At first I thought, oh, I'll just kind of drive until it's basically clear. But the the clouds were were
Yeah, it's
everywhere
kind
that
of a
I could
bummer,
go.
eh? It's kind of a
Yeah,
bummer a little bit.
yeah. Well, 20
Next one is what,
August
20?
2026 in Spain.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got some people from the show that's going, so maybe we'll all go together and do a whole
Oh, there
thing.
you go.
Just don't take Rob's rock.
Exactly. If I got
Yeah,
my rock,
yeah, just
stay away.
don't,
I got the spikes on the end of my tripod. Just watch it.
yeah, yeah, exactly, right? Um,
Oh,
yeah,
the
I
other
can see
thing
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing while you got there is the long exposure with the Lake Ontario with the piles. Um, so that's another thing that I like
Yeah.
doing long exposures. It's
Where is
once
this? Where is this on there?
it's 50
Yeah, I've been here. I've been there.
50 point
50
50
point.
point.
Yeah, it's a good little spot.
Yeah.
It's a good little spot. It's
Um,
kind of hidden a little bit.
yeah, and that's probably 8-minute exposure.
Oh, that's it?
So yeah, doing the long exposures. I mean, I love that because it's, again, very technical. Once you get your composition,
Yeah,
put on some neutral density filters.
sure.
Um, but for I remember for this shot, I was the only one on the beach. I'm just there by myself. I
Yeah.
literally had to walk away, and there was some birds chirping in trees that were about 100 yards away. I literally had to walk into the trees and look for the birds, because otherwise, to stand there for 8 minutes is
Yeah.
very difficult. Right?
Yeah.
So put the timer on my phone. I'll go for a walk, and then I'll come back
Sure.
and capture that.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good little spot.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Not everyone knows about it.
Yeah, exactly. Nice and
Yeah.
quiet, a little bit
Quiet.
secluded.
Yeah, yeah. It's a nice one. I like how it's black and white too.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
makes
I,
it,
I kind of, in the last couple of years, I really have really started going to black and white more.
Yeah, how come?
Where again, it has to do with the light, right? So you're
Mm,
not distracted with color. It's just
right. Interesting. Color's distracting.
it can be distracting, yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes you want it. Sometimes you want impact, and you have that color. And sometimes some nature. You wouldn't want to see some kind of exotic bird or some animals in black and white, because that's what makes them identifiable, is the color of them a lot of times.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting.
but for other things, architecture,
Look at that. Look at
yeah,
that. Look at that.
architecture, black and white, people, black and white.
It's about a
That's
mood, I guess, too, right? That you're trying to convey.
Yeah.
What's the mood that you're trying to
Well, I like the
show?
dark and moody kind of stuff. I like to make the shadows really. If it's going to be shadows, let's make them shadows.
Yeah.
We'll just part shadows.
Yeah. Does it also depend on like the time of the year that you're shooting too? Like winter time, are you more prone for black and white in the winter versus the summer?
No, I don't think so. No,
Mhm.
I'll do it
Anytime.
pretty much all year round. Again, the infrared helps. Really, the
Right.
infrared, and the other thing that helps is Fuji has a film simulation, so I can put my camera into black and white mode. So the
Yeah.
only thing I see when I look through the viewfinder is black and white, and it
Nice.
really helps you
See
see
it.
the
Yeah.
light. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's really also what I mean about not being distracted by color, because you're just looking for the light and where the light's going.
It's more focused that way. Like you're more focused and trying to like get the shot in camera too.
Yeah,
Where
yeah, I think so.
yeah, interesting. I like the shot of City Hall, man. It's different.
Oh,
I like how you got low and look up. It's cool. Is it also a long exposure too with the clouds?
yeah, it would have been a long exposure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember this one. Oh yeah, there it says 2 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 minute long
Yeah, it's
exposure.
interesting. Yeah, black and white sometimes makes just a completely different photo sometimes. Just completely different. Like it's great, especially with people too, I think,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
but even something like this too, where you're getting like half of it.
right.
That's my thing like that's how I try to shoot like art, like architectures. Like I try to get like a piece of it, not like the whole thing sometimes.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
it makes it a little bit more interesting too, because it kind of makes you a little bit curious about like the
Yeah, what is
entire
it?
image. Like, what
Yeah,
is it?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
kind of how I try to. That's how I like to shoot architecture sometimes.
Yeah, and
Sometimes like less is more.
absolutely. And
You know.
the thing, a lot of architecture that I shoot, I get disappointed because these architects have built these beautiful buildings,
Mm,
and they're maybe on a street or a church or whatever, but there's all kinds of power lines going through the front of
yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can clean it up, but when you look at it, it's a beautiful. This architecture is just beautiful, but it's sometimes very difficult to get a whole picture without all these distractions like power lines and whatever.
Yeah. I know it's a lot of Photoshop work. Thanks,
Yes.
Jimmy, for tuning in. You've been seeing great photos, Rob.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
Um, what's your favorite building in Toronto to shoot? Your
Uh,
favorite?
well, that uh, City Hall is one of them.
Yeah.
CN Tower. I probably have more shots of the CN Tower than anything else,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
it's so iconic
Yeah.
and accessible from so many locations, and it's so identifiable as for Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. But how do you shoot it usually? Like how do you ap- approach it sometimes to shoot it differently if you're trying to shoot it differently?
Yeah,
You know what I
it's going
mean?
to be different depending on the side that you're on. So I might go
Yeah.
to, if I'm in the East End or Portland's area, um, or Center Island,
Right.
Humber Bay in the west, or Colonel Samuel Smith.
Yeah.
Um, this one was, I don't know if I said where. I
Where's
think
the
this one.
where's the bat signal, Rob? You're missing
Well,
the
if you
bat
scroll
signal.
through, you'll see one with a bat. I think you'll see a bat signal on there. So this was another. I don't know. This might have been Humber Bay,
Yeah.
or it might have been Center Island. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, it would have been Humber Bay because the light on the water
Right.
is this the sun. The sun was setting or no rising. So this again was infrared. So I had my regular camera with me, but then I also had my infrared camera, and I thought, I wonder what the city would look like at night with an
Mm.
infrared picture. I had
Mm.
no idea, so I just tried it,
Interesting.
and
Interesting. And that's
and
what happened, eh?
that's what happens. Yeah,
What a cool idea.
totally surprising.
Well, that's a good idea though,
Yeah, thanks.
because
And then yeah, once I
not
figured that out, then I shoot more cityscapes with the infrared.
yeah.
And night shots with infrared is actually, I think I like it more than with a regular camera.
Yeah, it's really about trying different gear for like if you're trying to like shoot something that's very popular to shoot, just use something that you normally wouldn't use and see what happens.
Exactly.
And that's what comes out
Exactly.
sometimes. It's a good way to like challenge yourself and kind
Yeah,
of
I mean
like get yourself outside the box.
it's part of experimenting, right? You just
Yeah,
let me see what this
yeah,
happens.
that's how you kind of like be different because you're using something that, oh, I would never normally use this.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of
Exactly.
keeps it fresh, you're not kind of doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, okay, you're
Right.
kind of like going through the motions and it's like, okay, well, here it is. and then you're just on to the next one.
Exactly.
You know? You ever
Right.
do film photography too?
No, no. Well, I only got into it 2016, right? So I never did
Yeah,
film. I mean, I did
yeah,
film back in the day with the point and shoot, where you drop your
yeah,
film off at blacks, and
yeah,
but it was more just snapshots,
right.
birthdays, and you're on a vacation somewhere. So I never really did it. I would say I'm into the art of photography now, where I wasn't
The
before.
art. How do you mean the art though?
Well, I'm trying to make art, so as opposed to a snapshot, I compare it to like, a snapshot versus not necessarily. It doesn't have to be something that you can hang on a wall, but that I would consider more art in terms
Yeah.
of the aesthetics of it. It's a nice picture, not just
Mm,
you're on a
mhm,
vacation at Niagara Falls.
mhm,
So just
mhm.
get a picture of the kids standing beside
Interesting.
Niagara Falls.
Ah, do you have like a bucket shot type of shot that you want to get for this in your head? Or
Um, no,
yeah,
no, not
Like you
Not
have like a
really.
vision that you want to get sometime?
I mean, sometimes I do. So the cat there, for example, um,
What a rock star.
that's my
Is this your
cat.
cat?
Yeah, he's my cat.
What a rock star.
So well, it started because we had a competition in the club for
Oh,
silhouettes,
nice.
and koala has very long. He's very fluffy,
Yeah.
and I thought I knew that I could get a picture showing all of his fur, and he has these long whiskers as you can see them, and so that he was very patient with me. He was great. I just sat him on his little cat tree, and I had a speed light, and I was moving it around to see where would the best place to be and what the
Yeah.
strength of the flash would be. And so finally figured out that I needed to put it directly behind him.
Mm.
So that was a shot where I knew it's possible. I didn't know how to do it yet, and so it was a matter of trial and error of how to get that.
How long did it take you to get that?
I would say probably like half an hour,
Not
because
bad.
he wasn't going to stay there for hours and hours. So, but within half an hour, I think I got, because I would just take a shot. That's not it. I would move the flash around to a different side. I think I actually had two, because he's got a little bit of a catch light in his eye. So I had one
Mm.
kind of facing towards his face, and then one behind him. But the one on his facing him was at a lower power than the one behind him.
Yeah, yeah.
So
What a rock star.
half an hour. Yeah, he thinks he is too. Yeah.
I bet. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad that worked out for you too. Again, just kind of shows like the power of like just kind of like experimenting with different lighting.
Exactly.
You just never
You
know how
know,
it's going to turn out.
yeah, so I talked about George Brown, and that I learned a lot
Yeah.
about light.
Mm.
One of their in one of their programs, the first exercise you have to do is you take a white box. I learned so much from this. You take a white box, it's all white, and the camera can see three sides of the box, and each side of the box has to be one stop different. So you need to figure, it doesn't, yeah, there's many ways to be able to do it, but you need to make the top and the front and the side, they all have to be a stop of light apart.
Okay.
And I think the way that I had figured out is that I had a speed light facing it, and then I had a reflector, and maybe
Yeah.
one on top. So it's just bouncing light and playing with light.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about light.
Interesting.
That was a phenomenal exercise to be able to figure out.
And just using the box.
A white box there, it just looks like
White
a little,
box.
just a
Yeah.
white box.
Yeah.
Not only how to capture it, but also how to use Photoshop to measure it. How do you
Oh,
measure the light, the difference in, one stop difference between one box, one side and the other. And yeah, learned a lot from that.
wow.
Fun.
That's a good exercise.
Yeah.
It sounds easy, but I don't think it's easy.
It's not easy.
No, I don't think it is.
No, it's not easy. Try it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm scared to try it now. I don't know. I don't know. I might fail that one. I might fail that exercise. I might be banned from
when
owning a camera.
when you're bored and it's raining out, get a white box.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe when it's winter and there's a blizzard, maybe try it.
Oh, there you go.
I'll message you soon. I'm doing the box exercise now.
Okay, yeah. I'll give
Fantastic.
you some
Fantastic. Yeah, we're kind of up against the hour. So did you want to share anything else or give any advice for people out there that are starting out, or tips and tricks that you've learned along the way, kind of thing?
Yeah, no, I talked about at the camera club, I learned so much from the judging of photographs.
Yeah.
Listening to comments of other people. Learned so much. The brightest part of the image is where your eyes go to.
Right.
And I didn't really understand that until I started listening to some judging. And then I went back to my own pictures and said, hey, I didn't even see this before. Now that somebody's mentioned it, oh yeah, how could I not have seen that?
Yeah.
So, get other people's opinion.
Yeah.
Ask people that are photographers. I mean, so many people have so much information and they're happy to share it. I'm always happy to share information when I'm with anybody they're at a shoot. Whether they're shooting the sun or the moon or landscape or whatever. Find a photography buddy. Get a photography buddy.
Yeah, it's important to be in like the right group to forward like the feedback too. Like make sure that you're in the right environment and the right kind of group, and you're in a much better spot, But yeah, you definitely have to ask. Like if you ask for feedback, then it's much more like welcome instead of people just giving you feedback.
Right.
You need to ask for it.
Yes, exactly.
There's a different kind of thing to it.
That's true. Yeah. And you have to be careful that you don't, because that's their hobby or their.
Yeah, it's not what you say. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. Like, there's a way to position it. But I mean, because we're all like learning. We're all growing. Like it's a continuous thing. Like it's like the next. It's never perfect. Like, you just have to keep going on to the next one. But I mean, it's hard. It's hard to get like unbiased feedback these days, because you ask family, you ask friends. It's just like you don't really. Like truly unbiased feedback is hard to get sometimes.
Right.
But if you're in the right group or the right kind of like environment, then I think you're in a much better place to get that kind of feedback.
Yeah, my camera club, they have these critiques where they don't share who the person was that submitted it, exactly. And they're just some
way to do it.
They're three people that have judging experience, and they're just looking at the photograph and they're giving feedback on the photograph.
Yeah. It's a good way to do it.
You can learn so much from listening to those type of things too.
Yeah, well, because you don't know what you don't know sometimes.
Exactly.
Because it's kind of like you're in your own head. You're doing your thing. You don't even realize. Oh yeah, okay. Didn't even think about that. Okay.
I didn't know that was so bright back there. But now that you pointed it out, how could I not have seen that? It was so bright.
Now every photo, it's like I see that every time now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like. Doing like a math problem. It's like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, it could be so simple sometimes, but
exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. People want to help out usually people want to help out, but no, it's good, man. I just want to say thanks for coming on. Hopefully you enjoy this thing.
Oh yeah, this was fun. Nice chatting with you.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back on sometime. Maybe when you're doing something else.
Some great guests on there, so keep up the work.
You're one of them. You're one of them, man. Cool. Everyone, thanks for watching, listening, wherever this thing is. Go check out Rob. Link is in description. And we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Have
Thanks,
a great evening.
You too.
Peace.